They found the money in my bedroom. $15,000 in cash, hidden in my closet behind my winter clothes. My sister Elena stood there crying, my father's face turned to stone, and in that moment, I watched my entire life shatter. But here's what they didn't know, I had never seen that money before in my life. And the person who put it there? She was standing right next to me, tears streaming down her face, playing the victim perfectly. If you've ever been blamed for something you didn't do, if you've ever felt the pain of your own family turning against you, stay with me. This story gets darker before it gets better, but I promise you, justice has a way of revealing itself when you least expect it. And if this resonates with you, please subscribe. Your support means everything, and it reminds me I'm not alone in this. Let's get into it. My name is Claire Randall, I'm 26 years old, and I live in Los Angeles now. But 7 years ago, I lived in a completely different world. A world where I thought family meant unconditional love. A world where I believed my father when he said he'd always have my back. A world where I trusted my younger sister Elena with every secret, every dream, every vulnerable piece of my heart. That world ended on a Tuesday afternoon in October when I was 19 years old. Let me take you back to the beginning, so you understand exactly what was taken from me. I grew up in a traditional household in Austin, Texas. My father, John Randall, owned a successful construction company that he'd built from the ground up. My mother had passed away when I was 12 and Elena was 9. After that, it was just the three of us. Dad threw himself into work and into raising us the way he thought Mom would have wanted. He was strict but fair. He had rules, expectations, and a clear vision for our futures. He put money aside for both of our college funds. He taught us the value of hard work, integrity, and family loyalty. Family is everything, he'd say at dinner every night. We're all we've got. We protect each other. We tell each other the truth. Always. I believed him with every fiber of my being. Elena and I were close growing up. Or at least, I thought we were. She was the baby, the one who needed protecting. After Mom died, I stepped into that maternal role without even realizing it. I helped her with homework, drove her to dance practice, stayed up late talking about boys and dreams and the future. She wanted to be a designer. I wanted to be a lawyer. We'd joke about how successful we'd both be, how we'd buy Dad a house on the beach and make him retire early. But somewhere along the way, something changed in Elena. I didn't see it at first. The signs were subtle, a sharpness in her tone when I succeeded at something, a dismissiveness when I'd share good news, a competitiveness that felt just a little too cutting. When I got into Stanford with a partial scholarship, I was ecstatic. It was my dream school, and I'd worked so hard for it. Dad was proud, I could see it in his eyes. He took us out to dinner to celebrate, told everyone at the restaurant that his daughter was going to be a lawyer. Elena smiled that night. She hugged me. She said all the right things. But I remember catching her expression when she thought no one was looking. It wasn't happiness. It was something cold, something I didn't want to name. I pushed it away. She's just worried about me leaving, I told myself. She'll miss me. I had no idea what was really brewing beneath the surface. I was set to leave for Stanford in 3 weeks. My bags were half-packed. My dorm assignment had arrived. I'd said goodbye to my high school friends, to my boyfriend Tyler, to the life I'd known. I was terrified and excited in equal measure. Dad had been acting strange for about a week. Distant. He'd come home from work and barely speak at dinner. He'd look at me with this expression I couldn't read, disappointment maybe, or confusion. I asked him several times if everything was okay. Just work stuff, he'd say. Nothing for you to worry about. Then came that Tuesday. I got home from my shift at the bookstore around 4 p.m. Dad's truck was in the driveway, which was unusual. He was never home this early. When I walked in, he was sitting at the kitchen table with Elena. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying. His jaw was clenched so tight I could see the muscle twitching. "Sit down, Claire," he said. His voice was flat. Cold. My stomach dropped. "What's wrong? Did something happen?" Elena wouldn't look at me. "I'm going to ask you a question," Dad said slowly. "And I want you to tell me the truth. Have you been stealing from my company?" The world tilted. "What? No. Dad, what are you talking about?" $15,000 is missing from the business account," he said. "It was withdrawn in cash over the past 2 months. Small amounts each time. I thought it was a bookkeeping error at first. But then Elena came to me this morning. I looked at my sister. She was crying again, silent tears rolling down her cheeks. "Elena, what is he talking about?" She took a shaky breath. I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to believe it. "But Claire, I saw you coming out of Dad's office late at night. Multiple times. I saw you with cash. I heard you on the phone talking about needing money, about how Dad would never notice." My mouth fell open. That never happened." "Elena, why are you lying?" "I'm not lying," she said, and she sounded so genuinely hurt that for a second, I questioned my own memory. "I saw you." I didn't want to tell Dad, but the money kept disappearing and I couldn't just. "There's more," Dad interrupted. He stood up. "Come with me." He led me upstairs to my bedroom. Elena followed. He walked straight to my closet, moved aside the winter coats I hadn't touched in months, and pulled out a shoebox I'd never seen before. He opened it. It was filled with cash. Stacks of 20s and 50s, rubber banded together. "I found this morning," he said. "After Elena told me. I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to believe my daughter wouldn't steal from me. But here it is. $15,000, Claire. In your closet." I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak. I just stared at that box, at that money I had never touched, never seen, money that had been planted in my room to destroy me. "I didn't do this," I whispered. "Dad, I swear to you, I have never stolen anything from you. I don't know how that got there. Don't lie to me." His voice cracked like thunder. "I have given you everything. I worked myself to the bone to provide for you and your sister. I saved for your education. And you repay me by stealing? By lying to my face?" "I'm not lying." Tears were streaming down my face now. "Please, Dad. Please listen to me. I would never." "Elena saw you. The money is in your room. What else is there to listen to?" I turned to my sister. "Elena. Please. Tell him the truth. Please." She looked at me with those wide, tear-filled eyes. "I'm sorry, Claire. I'm so sorry. I wish you'd just asked if you needed money. I wish you hadn't done this." And that's when I realized. She wasn't going to confess. She had planned this perfectly, executed it flawlessly, and she was going to watch me burn. What happened next is still hard for me to talk about, even 7 years later. Dad told me I had 2 choices. I could pay back every cent with interest and forget about Stanford, using my college fund to repay him and working to make up the rest. Or I could leave his house and never come back. "If you stay," he said, "you work for me. You earn back what you stole. You rebuild my trust, if that's even possible. But Stanford? That's done. I'm not funding a thief's education." "And if I leave?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Then you're not my daughter anymore. I won't have a thief in my family. Your mother would be ashamed." That last part broke something in me that I don't think ever fully healed. I looked at Elena one more time. She was still crying, still playing her part. And I knew that if I stayed, she would make my life a living hell. She would continue to sabotage me, to lie about me, to twist every situation until I had nothing left. At least if I left, I'd have my dignity. I'd have the truth, even if no one else believed it. I didn't do this, I said one last time. But I can see that nothing I say will change your mind. So I'll leave. Dad's face hardened. Then you have until tomorrow morning to pack your things and get out of my house. I packed that night. I heard Elena crying in her room, crocodile tears. I knew now. Dad didn't come to say goodbye. He didn't check on me. The man who had raised me, who had taught me to ride a bike and helped me with calculus homework and told me I could be anything I wanted, he let me pack my life into 2 suitcases without a single word. My boyfriend Tyler's family let me stay with them for 2 weeks while I figured things out. Tyler believed me. He was the only one who did. But his parents were uncomfortable with the situation, and I understood. In their eyes, there was a very real possibility I was a thief. I contacted Stanford, explained that my family situation had changed and I could no longer attend. They were sympathetic but firm. The scholarship offer was tied to immediate enrollment. Maybe I could reapply next year, they said. But I knew I wouldn't. I had no money, no family support, no safety net. That dream was gone. I want to pause here for just a moment. If this story is hitting home for you, if you felt the sting of betrayal from the people who were supposed to love you most, please subscribe to this channel. It helps more than you know, and it tells me that sharing these painful truths matters. There are so many of us who've been here, in this dark place where family has failed us. You're not alone. None of us are. Now, let me tell you how I survived. I ended up moving to Los Angeles with $800 to my name, money I'd saved from my bookstore job. Tyler and I tried to make the long-distance thing work, but it fell apart within 6 months. I don't blame him. I was a mess. I was grieving the loss of my family, my future, my identity. I slept on my friend Kate's couch for 3 months while I worked 2 jobs, waitressing during the day and cleaning office buildings at night. I was exhausted all the time. I cried myself to sleep most nights. I'd wake up and forget for just a second what had happened, and then it would all come crashing back. I didn't go to college that year. Or the next. I couldn't afford it, and I couldn't bring myself to take on massive student loan debt when I was barely surviving as it was. But I refused to break. Maybe it was spite toward Elena, toward Dad, toward everyone who had written me off as a thief and a liar. Or maybe it was something Mom had instilled in me before she died. She used to say, "You're stronger than you think you are, Claire Bear. When life knocks you down, you get back up." Every single time. So I got back up. I took online courses at the community college. I worked my way up from waitress to restaurant manager. I saved every penny I could. I built a life brick by brick, all on my own, with no help from anyone. I didn't contact Dad. He'd made his choice clear. And I didn't contact Elena, even though there were nights I drafted long messages asking her why. Why she'd done it. What I'd done to make her hate me so much. I never sent them. I knew I'd never get a real answer. The years passed. I turned 21, then 23, then 25. I got promoted to regional manager overseeing 3 restaurants. I finished my associate's degree, then enrolled in night classes for my bachelor's. It was slow, grueling work, but I was doing it. I was building something. And then, last year, everything changed. I got a Facebook message from someone named Scotty Miller. I didn't recognize the name, but the message made my blood run cold. "Claire, you don't know me, but I used to date your sister Elena. We need to talk. It's about what happened when you were 19. Please call me." My hands were shaking as I dialed the number he provided. Scotty picked up on the first ring. "Claire?" "Yeah." "Who are you?" I'm your sister's ex-boyfriend. We dated for 3 years, broke up about 6 months ago. And when we did, she told me some things while she was drunk. Things I can't stop thinking about. Things you deserve to know. What things? He took a deep breath. She told me she framed you. The money, the theft accusations, all of it was her. She stole the money from your dad's business. She planted it in your room. She lied to your father because she was jealous that you were going to Stanford and she wasn't. She wanted you gone. I had to sit down. Even though I'd always known, hearing someone else confirm it, hearing that Elena had actually admitted to it, was overwhelming. Why are you telling me this? I managed to ask. Because it's been eating me alive, he said. Because when I confronted her about it, she laughed. She said you probably deserved it anyway, that you always acted like you were better than her. She has no remorse, Claire. None. And your dad still doesn't know the truth. He won't believe me if I tell him, I said bitterly. He didn't believe me 7 years ago. Why would he now? What if you had proof? My heart stopped. What kind of proof? I recorded her confession. The night she told me. I was already planning to break up with her for other reasons, and when she said that stuff about you, I hit record on my phone. I don't know if it'll help, but I have it. I can send it to you. Scotty sent me the audio file that night. I must have listened to it 20 times, tears streaming down my face. Elena's voice was slurred but clear. You want to know a secret, Scotty? A really bad secret? I ruined my sister's life and I don't even feel bad about it. She was going to Stanford. Perfect Claire, going to her perfect school. And I was going to community college because my grades weren't good enough. Do you know how that felt? Do you know what it's like to always be second? So I fixed it. I took Dad's money, little bits at a time. I planted it in her room. I cried to Dad and said I saw her stealing. And he believed me. He actually chose me over her. She's gone now and everything's better. Scotty's voice, Elena, that's really messed up. Does your dad know? Elena, of course not. And he never will. Claire's too proud to come crawling back, and even if she did, who would believe her now? She made her choice when she left. Scotty, you destroyed her future. Elena, laughing, she'll get over it. She always lands on her feet. That's the thing about Claire, she thinks she's so much better than everyone, so independent. Let's see how independent she is now. I sat in my apartment, listening to my sister laugh about ruining my life, and I felt something shift inside me. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done being angry. I was just tired. Tired of carrying this pain. Tired of wondering if I'd done something to deserve it. And I realized I needed closure. Not for revenge. Not even for an apology. But for myself. I needed my father to know the truth. I flew back to Austin 2 weeks later. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. I rented a car and drove to my father's house, the house I'd grown up in, the house I'd been kicked out of 7 years prior. My hands were shaking as I rang the doorbell. Dad answered. He looked older. Grayer. Tired. When he saw me, his face went through a series of expressions, shock, confusion, something that might have been pain. Claire, he said. Just my name. Nothing else. Hi, Dad. Can I come in? He hesitated, then stepped aside. The house looked the same. Same furniture, same photos on the wall. Except the photos of me were gone. Every single one. It was like I'd been erased. What are you doing here? He asked. His voice wasn't warm, but it wasn't hostile either. Just, careful. I need to show you something. And I need you to listen. Really listen. Can you do that? He crossed his arms. I don't know what you think. Please, Dad. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. He sighed. Fine. 5 minutes. I pulled out my phone and played the recording. I watched his face as Elena's voice filled the room. Watched him go pale. Watched his eyes widen. Watched his hands start to shake. When it ended, there was silence. When, he finally asked. His voice was barely a whisper. This was recorded 6 months ago. Her ex-boyfriend sent it to me. He thought I deserved to know the truth. Dad sat down heavily on the couch. He put his head in his hands. I told you, I said, and my voice cracked. I told you that day that I didn't do it. I begged you to believe me. And you chose her. She's my daughter, he said. You were both my daughters. I didn't know. You didn't want to know, I corrected. It was easier to believe I was the problem. It was easier to cut me out than to consider that Elena might be lying. He looked up at me, and I saw tears in his eyes. What have I done? Dad called Elena immediately. Told her to come over. Told her it was urgent. She arrived 20 minutes later, walking in with her keys jingling, calling out, Dad? What's the emergency? She froze when she saw me. Claire? What are you doing here? Sit down, Elena, Dad said. His voice was steel. Dad, what's going on? Sit down. She sat, her eyes darting between us. Dad played the recording. I watched her face go from confusion to recognition to pure panic. When it ended, she tried to laugh it off. That's, Scotty edited that. He's trying to make me look bad because I broke up with him. You can't believe. Stop, Dad said. Just stop. I've heard your voice on that recording. I know it's real. What I need to know is why. Why would you do that to your sister? Elena's facade cracked. Because she had everything. She was always the smart one, the perfect one, the one you were proud of. I was just the screw-up little sister. So you destroyed her life? Dad's voice was shaking. You stole from me, framed her, and let me throw her out over a lie? I was 18. Elena shouted. I made a mistake. You were old enough to know better, I said quietly. And you didn't make a mistake, Elena. You made a choice. Multiple choices. You chose to steal. You chose to hide that money in my room. You chose to lie to Dad. You chose to let me lose everything while you watched. And based on that recording, you chose not to feel bad about any of it. She turned to me, and for a moment, I saw something real in her eyes. Not remorse, recognition. Recognition that it was over. I'm sorry, she whispered. No, you're not, I said. You're sorry you got caught. Dad asked Elena to leave that night. I don't know where she went. I didn't ask. He and I talked for hours. He apologized over and over. He cried. He told me he'd failed me as a father, that he'd been so consumed by grief and work after Mom died that he'd missed the signs of Elena's jealousy, her resentment. I don't know how to fix this, he said. I don't know if I can. I don't know either, I admitted. You made a choice 7 years ago, Dad. You chose not to believe me. You chose to disown me, to let me walk out that door with nothing. I had to build an entire life from scratch. I did that without you. I know. I'm not the same person I was at 19. That girl who needed your approval, who needed your support, she's gone. I had to become someone else to survive. I can see that, he said. You're stronger. More independent. I didn't want to be, I said, and my voice broke. I wanted to go to Stanford. I wanted to become a lawyer. I wanted my dad to be proud of me. But I had to let all of that go. We sat in silence for a long moment. What now? He asked. I don't know, I said honestly. I don't know if we can have a relationship again. I don't know if I can trust you. But I needed you to know the truth. I needed to hear you say you were wrong. I was wrong, he said immediately. I was so terribly wrong. And I will spend the rest of my life regretting it. Before I tell you how this ends, I want to say something to anyone watching who's been through betrayal like this. Subscribe if you haven't already, because these stories matter. Your story matters. We survive these things not because we're superhuman, but because we refuse to let the people who hurt us define who we become. Every subscription reminds me that I'm not alone, and it reminds you that you're not either. Okay. Here's where we are now. That was 8 months ago. Dad and I talk now. Not every day. Not even every week. But we're building something new. It's not the relationship we had before, that's gone, and we both know it. But it's something. He's in therapy. He says he's working on understanding why he failed me, why he was so quick to believe the worst. I told him I'm glad he's doing that work, but it's for him, not for me. I did my healing without him. He offered to pay for me to finish my bachelor's degree and go to law school. I said no. I'm doing it on my own, the way I've done everything else. I don't say that to punish him, I say it because I need to know I can. Elena sent me one email. It said, I know you'll never forgive me. I don't blame you. For what it's worth, I am sorry. You deserved better. You deserved everything. I didn't respond. Maybe someday I will. Maybe I won't. I haven't decided yet. What I do know is this, I'm okay. I'm more than okay. I'm successful. I'm strong. I have a life I built with my own 2 hands. I have friends who chose me, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. And I have the truth. After 7 years of being called a liar and a thief, after 7 years of people doubting me, I have proof that I was right all along. That matters more than any apology ever could. If there's anything I want you to take from this, it's this: sometimes the people who are supposed to love you the most will fail you. They'll choose comfort over truth. They'll choose what's easy over what's right. And it will hurt in ways you didn't know were possible. But you will survive it. You'll survive because you have no other choice, and one day you'll realize that survival has turned into something else. Strength. Independence. Self-knowledge. The people who betrayed you will have to live with what they did. That's their burden to carry, not yours. Your burden is to heal. To rebuild. To become the person you were meant to be, even if the path there looks nothing like what you imagined. I didn't go to Stanford. I didn't become a lawyer at 25 like I'd planned. But I became something better. I became someone who knows her own worth. Someone who doesn't need validation from people who've proven they don't deserve to give it. And honestly, that's a better education than any university could have given me. Thank you for staying with me through this story. If it resonated with you, if you've been where I've been, please subscribe. Please leave a comment sharing your own experience if you feel comfortable. We heal together. We survive together. And we remind each other that we're so much stronger than the people who tried to break us. My name is Claire Randall. I'm 26 years old. I live in Los Angeles. And I'm not a thief. I'm not a liar. I'm a survivor. And so are you.